Okay, guys, I'm gonna do a painting session here. So let's get to it. I gotta remember where I left off. We were working on Panzer 38s, or Czech 38s as I like to call them. And I think we were just detailing these guys out. Man, hat's awfully tight, cutting off my circulation. Let's give this a little bit more leeway here. There we go. All right. What a beast this is to open sometimes. And I'm going to see how successful I am because I have been falling asleep. I am almost ready for bed. And it's not even 8 o'clock. I am always thrown off schedule when I go over to game in the middle of the week. It always throws me off. And I didn't even stay up that late, but still. Alright, so we got some coffee. We got a small soda here. Alright, let's get some usual suspect here. Brushes. And I think that one, I don't know what the hell that was, but luckily I have my leg tucked out from my leg. Gee whiz, my leg tucked under me, so I can't take an X-Acto knife to the top of the foot. Let's just move this out of the way. All right, let's find out what the hell that was. Oh, that's harmless. Fingernail clipper that I use for chopping the edges of things. Nice surprise to see me painting tonight. Really? I paint at evenings. I need to do something to wake up. So, I highly encourage you guys to interact with me tonight so that I don't fall asleep. Anyhow, check 38 time. And I think we were working on a mixture here. I think we have a mixture here. I need to, I don't know that I see any end of tanks anytime soon because, man, I just have so many things to do that I want to do. Like, I haven't even gotten to the Opel Blitz trucks. Yeah, I hadn't even gotten to them. And German half tracks to do. And those, unfortunately, are kind of sloppy looking. It is a mixture of different things. And, you know, these models that I've had a very long time, that's how it is they were all gotten at a time when mail order really wasn't a thing. You would just go to stores and, oh, they have one of these. Well, let me pick it up. And that's how I ended up getting them. So I'll end up having a mishmash of different manufacturers. Like my German half tracks, I've got an SE 1/72 scale, a 76 Fujimi, and Matchbox, it's also 76. Just, you know, I don't have two of any single brand, you know. Used to my early morning sessions. Okay. Well, that's usually when I can get stuff done and nobody else is awake, so it doesn't really incur any problems, but yeah, we got some time here. So we've already dry brushed this. We're just picking out some details that we want to accentuate. some highlighting, and really, 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 really happy the way the last tanks I did, especially the BTs. They just came out incredible. I was just like, I can't believe I just did these. None of it's difficult. It was just multiple steps, and not that many multiple steps because the folks that do the chipping and the panel washing and all that stuff that takes forever. Mine's more reasonable, but still, really happy with how those turned out. There may not be much more that I need to. Of course, you're going to get some highlighting there on when you go and I do the dry brushing for the groundwork as well. But I just mean in the gray, you know. I don't think I was using this one. I was using a different one. But I do like putting a couple of scrapes and nothing major. Just some inconsistencies. I need to find that martyr. I've got a martyr 3 from Millicast that it's a nice model, but it is hey Rick, it is a resin, and it's a resin kit that was maybe 30 years old or whatever, so it has some bubbles in it. Nothing major, but it's not the same quality as the stuff that is available now. And I'm going to doctor it up with some stuff that came extra in these Czech sets, like the seats, for instance. These come with seats, and I don't think the original one has seats in it. Now, it may be an issue because that one's actually 176 scale, and these are 1/72, so it might have really big seats. But I think I'm going to do that, or I'm going to attempt to do that, and see if that is workable. I'm going to put some scratches. Now this one I'm going to be really have to be really creative where I put the little German crosses at, because there's not a lot of surface area there. But I think this hull is pretty much done. This is the wet palette my brother got me. Yep, and it just happened to be the same brand that I was already using, and it works significantly better. So first of all, I remember when I was getting it, I was saying I don't know if this is going to be any kind of an improvement. It is. I wouldn't recommend the other one. This one works a lot better than the other one. He bought it on a, what do you call those things? Where you put money ahead of time and then you get it later. Something I could never do that. My personality type's like, as soon as I put money down, I'm like, all right, where is it? You know what it's called. I just can't I can't tell you what it is because I've never done one. I would just wait for the things to come out and then buy them then. All right, more coffee. I can't think of stuff. More coffee. Kickstarter. There you go. Kickstart my art. Kickstart my art. All right, this is the turret that this is just a standard turret. I can't wait to do the turrets because these have big numbers. For some reason, the Czech 38s had really big numerals on them. Man, I was a bit of a Kickstarter addict for a while, but the weight just kills me. Yeah, I don't have the personality type for it. I'll order something and the next day I'm like, okay, where is it? Where's it at? Where is it? Drove me a bit crazy when I ended up getting all these things that I got recently, part of these, and they ended up coming from 4 different locations. 2 of them were from 2 different Amazon sellers, and 2 of them were from 2 different eBay sellers. And the Amazon stuff, I think, was actually off. Like they said they were going to show up one day and they didn't. They were still recovering from trying to catch up from Christmas, which is really unusual for them. My experience with Amazon is they'll say, "Oh, you'll get it next Tuesday," and on next Monday or next Saturday, you actually get it. You get it sooner than they say they're going to get it. That's my experience with Amazon. It's been very positive. So I'd rather go to a brick and mortar and pick something up, but brick and mortar stores just don't have anything. You know. And you can't ask anything to anybody because nobody knows anything. So, and it just doesn't make sense to run around to 50 places and burn the fuel and get frustrated and not get anything and ended up Amazoning it anyway. So, okay, I think that's probably good enough for Oliver Cromwell. Welcome back. There used to be so many Kickstarters, exclusive, they didn't want to miss out. Seriously, FOMO. I don't know what FOMO is. Extra miniatures, promos, just for backing the project. Had to have everything, but these days seems like that isn't the case anymore. The exclusive are also typically released in retail too for a price. I don't know if the situation with Royal Mail has been fixed. I actually heard from somebody else that was saying that it didn't affect some retailers, but there's something that I supposedly have coming. I say supposedly because I don't know. Coming from the UK, that might get stuck in that. But when I got my terrain mat, I wrote to the people that did it. And I'll say, hey, I'm kind of disappointed in this, and not because of necessarily of the flimsy nature, but that I got one with these crease marks that it's going to show these crease marks. Even it's not that it has crease marks because you can iron those out. It's that literally that there's it was folded over this stuck in storage or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not really happy with this. And they say, oh, we'll make it right. And after Chris, this was I don't know. This was 2 weeks or a week or so or before Christmas. And I hadn't heard from them, and I just dropped them a line during the new year. I'm like, can I get an idea when that's coming? And they had just like forgotten about me. It's like, oh, we'll get it right out to you. And it's been like 2 weeks since then. So I don't know. I got a bad feeling about this, Sarge. But lesson learned: don't buy a terrain mat without physically looking it over. I won't do that again. I will never do that again. And then, of course, this particular manufacturer that I got, everybody raves about them, including one of the players that was out last night. They said they had gotten one, but they got like the mouse material one, which is what I would have gotten if I didn't need to stick things underneath it for height elevation. I don't need to do any crazy height elevation, but I do need to put things underneath it. I don't want to all of a sudden have to make all these damn hills for everything and then figure out how to store them. I would get the mouse pad material, which I have the mouse pad materials for the, what's the Fantasy Flight game with the freaking aircraft from World War One? I have both of those, and I've used them like twice and never played the game again. It's an okay game, but what's this damn game? I was trying to think about it the other day. Wings of War. Okay, so I got the 2 mouse pad mats for Wings of War, and it's an okay game. I'd just rather play something else. And I have one that I was going to use for Gaslands, but my interest in Gaslands just completely fizzled. Fear of missing out. Oh. It's funny times I was working at shops, don't know if things are out of the loop in the hobby. Will tell you things you already know, just not politely, or have you find your answer elsewhere. I remember I went to a shop recently on my way back from the car show, so it was a couple of months ago, in the next town over. And it's a really nice shop. They have lots of terrain stuff. And I'm like looking around, and this girl comes up to me behind the counter and says, if you need any help with painting things, you can talk to so-and-so here. And I'm sitting there going, I think I'm good. I think I'm good. Yeah, I'm okay. I can find my way around this place. So now, what I don't remember these guys, if I had dry brushed this color already, and I have. We're just picking out details. Perfect. Well, we should get this pretty far along. I thought I had more left to do. Last year, I bought some mats from Cigar Box. They rolled out a double-sided series, which I like. Yeah, so the problem with Cigar Box is you go to their website and their stuff looks okay. I know someone who has it, and it's too flimsy. It's like, I don't know, maybe I'm spoiled by them. The other 3 I have are mouse pad ones. But I'm going to need to get something underneath it. Not going to make some big hills, but just like, if I have a desert one, you got to have some kind of, difference in elevation. It doesn't have to be huge. So the mouse pads aren't going to, they're not going to do well with that. But the Cigar Box model ones, yeah, I just asked when our convention's coming up, I said, hey, anybody plan on selling any? Because I want to get another one. And I'd like to get a 4 foot by 8 foot or something bigger. 4x6 is just minimal in size, and I want to actually see it, because I actually like the color of the one that I have. It goes great with the terrain of my. And you know what? I pulled it out the other day to take photos, and it's not as glossy as I remember, but it still has those crease lines where it had been stuck in a warehouse. They made it 3 years ago when it was folded a certain way, and just being folded for 2 years, and might have been somewhere hot. Some of the color got disappeared, faded on it, but oh well. They supposedly said they're going to make it right, but we'll see. I've been kind of surprised by customer service all the time now. So yeah, it's like a blanket. Yeah, but it's a little too I don't know. Really 3-3 Cigar Box match. Wish they did 2-2. Cobblestone, yeah. And then there's so many brands. There's one guy that sells on Etsy that's the next town over. Yeah, but one thing that's important is the gloss level. I don't want mine to be glossy at all, because it takes really bad photographs for starters. But So my goal is, if I'm going to game this, the game is going to look as good as the games that you see in War Games magazines, or I don't want to play it. And I'm playing something that doesn't need a ton of vehicles, even though I'm painting a bunch of them. But hey, they're fun, and there's no reason why the ground, buildings, figures, all that can't be top tier level, look. So I don't think those paper terrain buildings are going to cut it. But I had them. I figured I might as well put them together. I think I did a pretty good job of putting them together. It's just they're a little two-dimensional, and I'm not going to fix them up and I'm not going to, spend more time on them. They are what they are. And, at some point, probably not this year, I'll look at getting some better buildings. But it's not a priority at this point. Because we're going to do some of those vehicles I just talked about that I need to get, like trucks and the non exciting stuff, and then we'll start doing some more infantry. I've got a ton of infantry to do, and if I get bored, I'll go back and paint some 15s. But I don't think that's the case. I've spent 18 years painting 15s and painting them for shows and stuff like that. We did play some Ancients last night. I didn't play. I just kind of sat in the background and kind of ran, and we're testing some new stuff out. But I'm perfectly fine just not actively playing, so to speak. But I don't have a huge itch to game and face-to-face play. Okay, I need to take a look at some pictures. I believe this thing is a rust bucket, just like the muffler. We know the mufflers are rust buckets. I believe that's a rust bucket as well. So we're going to take some pictures of, we're going to look at some pictures of some Czech 38s, but we don't need to do that right this second. Let me finish highlighting in this color, and then we'll be able to move on to that. And I'm really not motivated to go and get involved in other games. Like when I went to that Complete Strategist in New York, they had a lot of games. They had a lot of games that could potentially appeal to me. Like I just don't. I don't want to sit there and learn how to, learn the rules and stuff like that. Snow day announcements for tomorrow pouring out. No snow day for me, but I work from home, so I guess it doesn't matter. Still have to get ready to fire up the snowblower. Slow blower. You're the slow blower. Yeah. Turtle wins the race, right? Wish I could work from home. Just one day in my life. But I'll tell you what, those of you guys that work from home, I can completely disconnect from my job. I pretty much, when I leave work, I don't think about it. So I guess that's worth something. I go on vacation. I don't interact with anybody. I don't answer emails. So, I forget about it. So I don't know if you guys that work from home can do that. Hopefully you can, but today wasn't even that cold, and they had the freaking heater on, and it freaking kills me. Mr. Nordic, welcome back. We saved you a spot. I don't know that I'm really happy with this brush doing this. I don't think I am. I think we need to go to the other one. And that's not the other one. Let's try this one. I had to de-ice the car the last 2 mornings. Took about 30 seconds with the frost on. One of the mornings, I couldn't get the windshield wiper fluid wouldn't come out. But I live in a place you don't really need heated seats. You know, need air conditioning seats. Who was saying that? They were telling me that if you live in a place that has snow, it's your responsibility to blow your part of the sidewalk. Otherwise, they can like fine you. Like, what kind of nanny state is that? I don't want to live there. You can shove that right up here. You know what? Tell me what to do. I don't like the sound of that. You did. That's terrible. That's a terrible idea. I'm not moving to those states where there's bullshit like that. Oh boy, here we go. Do we have this mirrored crap again? Why does it default to this? It didn't do it for so many years. It's this one. It's the little fucking camera. It's always the little one that's the problem. Freaking little dick camera. Alright. I don't know why it defaults to that. No, I'm definitely not left-handed. I drive one-handed on the left because, you know, I'm working the gearbox with the other one. I wear a watch on the left-hand side. That's about it. Well, I finally finished watching all the Resident Evil movies. I'll never get whatever that is back. Thought I was gonna get one of the games. I'm like, well, let's read the background information on it. Well, that was worthless. It just kept getting worse and worse. But that's done. I don't have to do it again. And then I realized, oh, there's like cartoon ones too. Shit, I don't know if that I'm gonna dive into that. I did start watching this series on Netflix, and apparently it got really bad reviews. I didn't think it was that bad, to be honest with you, but I've only seen a couple episodes. I don't like how that is split between what's happening in the what happened in the past and what's happening in the future. I don't like that. Wish they would have just started with the backstory, but people in their short attention spans, you know. Any of the Resident Evil games after Resident Evil 3 do not exist. I haven't played any of them. I haven't played any of them. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about them. Watched a couple episodes. I'm like on 3. I don't think it's that bad. I like the stuff that when the girls are in school and stuff. That part's okay. They made a reference to COVID in it. This isn't like, they're talking about this infection. It's not like COVID. I would say it's nothing like it. But so I'm watching the series, right? I'm watching all the movies, and after watching all the movies, I'm thinking these movies definitely influenced Borderlands because you got the whole same corporation type thing going on. Handsome Jack and Handsome Jack is really the shitty part of the story. Now I haven't played the first Borderlands, and probably won't because what's the point now? But I should go back and play the second one again with a different character. I should play with that ninja guy, whatever his name is, Zero. But see if they're equivalently accentuated. If you want to go to horror survival experience, go Resident Evil. But aren't they like really, really dated? I mean, how old are they? Because I'm not a retro gamer. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, look, an old school looking game. I want to play. Look, we played that crap, okay? I played with EGA graphics. That's all we had. I'm not a retro, I'm not a retro gamer. What was that game that I saw somebody play a long time ago when it first came out? Left for Dead or whatever, where you could play like multiple people. I'm like, this is going to be really cool. And I played a demo, and I'm like, you're rushed constantly all the time. Like you can't even catch your breath. I'm like, yeah, that's good for people that don't have jobs, that don't have stressful jobs. But after going to New York, and I was talking about it while I was there. I ended up starting and playing a little bit of the Division, which is creepy. The foresight of that is really creepy, but I couldn't handle the stress level in some of the missions. It was just too stressful. I guess it's been a few years since I played it, and I don't mind a stressful game, but I want to be able to take a break. I don't want to be constantly like, okay, I don't like boss fights. Boss fights are just stupid, and then and a lot of that game is just you're fighting a bunch of what's the name they call them? Bullet sponges. You know, Studio WGS. Why do you hear a plane flying overhead? I know they're coming for you. They're on the original PlayStation, so late 90s. Yeah, I don't have a PlayStation. I was a Xbox person, not a PlayStation. I rented them both back when you could rent them from Blockbuster, and I'm like, I'm going to get one or the other. Xbox One. They just had more of the games that I wanted to play. And I still have the original one. I wouldn't play those old games. They just look too. Now, do you have to reload weapons in that, or are they like the movies where you could just fire forever and not have to reload any of your weapons? Absurd. Wolfman, good morning. I don't know that I need to do that much. We already went over this with the highlight. This is just popping other stuff that might need to be make a more prominent appearance on here. You also don't have infinite ammo, so shoot sparingly. You know what game I hated for that? What was the original? The original Splinter Cell. You're playing this, Splinter Cell guy, whatever his name was, and you get one Beretta with like one magazine. And you could like take out guards, you can't pick up their weapon. You can't pick up any ammo. You're stuck with like, you're stuck with like 15 freaking rounds. And that's it. And I hated that, you know. I absolutely hated that. The original Splinter Cell. The one that was kind of cool was Hitman. You could take weapons from him, change your clothes, pull the body into the corner. But and I'm not one of those that wants to come through the front door with guns a-blazing. But sometimes you have a plan of being sneaky, right? And then things go sideways. So you need to fight your way out of it. But not one of those, oh, you fired one shot, game over, start, reload again. Nah, that's too much for me. I want to, like your intent is to be sneaky, but sometimes, you foul things up. So you need to fight your way out. What'd you say the name of that game was that inside Borderlands? Bunkers and Badasses? Is that what? Tends to be sneaky sometimes Skyrim. Then my character trips over every single pot and pan in existence and sounds like a plane just crashed. It's coming through on your end. I don't hear a plane. Bunkers and Badasses, yeah. Let me check one thing. let me check one thing. Let me make sure we don't have an open window with something. Okay, it's not there, it's not there. I'm gonna unplug this for a second. The volume's down on the computer, and there's nothing else running, so if it is on my end, there's nothing I can do about it. Yeah, those games are fun, but man, when they start turning into bullet sponges, it just takes a long time to get through something. There was another game that was Cell Animation that had it back on the original Xbox. I didn't own it. I rented it, and I forget what it was called. I want to say it was called 13. I think it was spelled XXIII. I mean, literally, it was in Roman numerals, and I think that's what the name of it. And the premise of that one, it was Cell Animation as well. And the premise of that one is you're basically a hitman who goes to try to assassinate somebody, and you're basically framed, and you have to try to figure out what happened. Now, I remember liking it quite a bit, but not enough to actually buy the game. And now it looks like crap if I got it. I'm definitely not one of those people. It's like, oh, let me buy this game that looks, pretty crummy. That's, there's days for that, or I'm not one of those people I've lived through the technology that's less than ideal. I don't want to revisit it. But I do like the cell animation in games. I think that works really well. I think it's very appealing. Now we got 2 turrets to do, including the one with a real Nazi. It's going to have a real Nazi in here. "5 days later, you get ambushed by thugs hired by that person you stole from." There's a game I read about recently where you can it's like in medieval times, like a Hussite Wars or something like that, and it's got some kind of generic name to it. In other words, it doesn't have a very memorable name. I was watching a review on it, and you literally can assassinate people, but it's kind of historical in a way. But those deep dive games that take you a long time to do stuff, just they're kind of a waste of time for me. That doesn't mean I won't play them, but you start looking at like, man, I could have gotten this, that, or the other done instead of just playing this video game that would have frustrated me. It gets frustrating if you end up having to reload, you get killed so many times, have to, I don't mind a challenge, but man, I don't want to have to try to repeat the same thing over 12 times. You're bored. I have no idea what to do this evening. Anyone have any suggestions? I don't know. Flood your house out. That way you'll have to mop or something. You live with some other people. Go pester them. Go clip some counters. Two horrible ideas. I have a hard time finding motivation like sit in front of the television. I don't see how people watch so much television. It's like you're not doing anything. You're just watching something else done, and so much of the programming is just terrible. It just sucks. It's not like not worth your time kind of thing. Cute little tank. Rivets make it cute. Rivets make it cute. Kill marks on tanks. I don't care for putting kill marks on tanks. I only watch one weekly show live. The rest of the time, if I have the television on, it's Pandora Radio, or I'm watching a movie or a documentary. Is Pandora still a thing? I remember back in the day I would use it a lot. And then, oh, you went over your number of limits. You can't do it anymore. I'm like, what? But, you could do so much stuff with just YouTube. There's so much programming you can watch that's on there. Only thing about YouTube is you get those annoying commercials at the beginning of what you watch, and including that stupid TikTok one that has a, like a scream or something like that. I'm like, good Lord, how many times am I going to hear that? First of all, I don't have TikTok, and I'm not going to, but man, give me a different commercial. They go, ow, or something like that. I forget what it is. I was trying to describe it to my daughter, like, yeah, that commercial's so annoying. She didn't know what I was talking about. I bet she does when I go to play it, but I couldn't get it to act up and play it again. Got it on my Roku, and the only thing you can't do is skip tracks left and right. Okay. So you're stuck with whatever it is. That was always the case, wasn't it? I don't know. It's been many years since I listened to it. Anybody listen to the regular radio? I don't. That's like those commercials are annoying. Radio commercials. I don't know why this keeps drying on me. It doesn't keep. It doesn't stay. It doesn't stay. Not staying alive for some reason. You do in your older truck. I thought you got rid of that thing. You have 3 vehicles, right? You got the Bronco, or you got more than 3 vehicles. Some of you guys like paying. You must like paying registration charges. I think that's okay. I don't want to go too light because we are going to lighten it up with dirt and stuff like that. So, all right, we need to find out if what color this little thing is. So we're going to take a little look here and we're going to do an internet search for Panzer 38T. I'm actually going to look at a 1/35th scale model. I use that a lot for references. And just see what somebody did. And just need to have a picture of that side of the vehicle. I'm telling you, I'm going to have a problem putting that little cross where it needs to be. I may actually have to chop it and put it like it's behind one of these things on there. Okay, this is a nice model somebody did. I need to see the other side of the vehicle. No, it doesn't look like it is. It doesn't look like it's a Rastafarian. No, okay, that works for me. That's what I needed to know. You got to paint the details on this thing. Let's start off with everybody's favorite thing, road wheels. I'm going to go ahead and put the turret on here just so we can keep them together. man. I'm assuming that the problem is here. I helped a bit. Okay. Yeah, they turn just fine when they're on there. Okay, perfect. All right, let's get the black out, which we're going to need to get a new one. All right, let's, now we can use something like this. And of course, the flow aid. What time is it? It's almost 9. Do I think I'm going to be able to do the decals tonight? Because if I am, then I probably should gloss coat where they go. So that by the time I get around to them, they're dry. Let's do that. I can do the black while this other stuff is dry. Right. All right. Critical path. All right. So I don't know exactly where I'm going to put the decals, but I do know where I'm not going to put them. Let's get us a brush like so, and we use Pledge Floor Care. That works really well for just a quick gloss coat. We're going to have numbers that are going to go across here. We may put a cross back here in the back of the turret, and we're going to have numbers that go across here. Okay, on the hull we may have a number there, and we may have a number in here somewhere. And that's what I'm going to do on all of them. Okay, so numbers across the turret sides. The back over here, and this spot in the front, and this over here. I don't know if it makes that much of a difference putting this gloss coat on it, but I do it. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my regularly scheduled painting road wheels. Okay, let's put this away. And that should last forever, or as I like to say, it'll last until I knock it over. And that was a pain in the butt to find too, because that's one of those products that we don't make that anymore. I can do it. Yeah, I want to see the decals on. Godhood. You could play Godhood in that game. That reminds me of, what was the name of that game? Assassin's Creed. And you play the Greece one. That's a beautiful game. Another stupid storyline, but I think that's par for the course for most games have unappealing storylines. I remember when I got my Xbox One, it came with the pirate one, whatever it's called, Black Sails, or I played that one a lot. It's a lot of island exploring to do. I didn't necessarily care for being a pirate, but all right. And since we're still doing this side, there's a little rubber on the return rollers. This tank had a very successful running gear. I know that sounds pretty stupid, but it is pretty important. You don't care for the Assassin's Creed games. Well, okay. They don't appeal necessarily to anybody. The only ones I got into, I played the pirate one a lot. Actually, my console came with the pirate one and the French Revolution one, and I got the Greek one, and that's it. That's the only ones that I have. The Greek one's beautiful. I like them because it's like, hey, what's over there? So you get to explore. They lack weapons though. They're not really good for finding weapons, but well, that's why they make all kinds of different stuff, because one thing may appeal to one person and something may appeal to somebody else. I really don't like games that focus on jumping and boss fights, you know? Okay, what is on here that is black? Well, there's a pickaxe here. And all this cable. Which will end up putting something metallic on it, but you need it to be black first. Okay, that's the back of the pickaxe. We'll leave that alone. Anything else here? This looks like some form of hammer also. And then this entire piece is metallic. And the tracks come in track color. All right, let's go over to this side. Who makes Skyrim? The Bethesda people? I think that's who makes them. The Bethesda folks. Yeah, Bethesda. I can't think of any games of Bethesda's that I like, though. Just trying to think. If I started anything up and I saw Bethesda on it, I don't know that I have any of their stuff. I say that one of their games that I played with the original Baldur's Gate, I think was Bethesda, and it didn't run very well. And man, I had to reload that one battle so many times. I just gave up trying to beat it. But that was a long time ago. Okay, this one's done on details that are black. You know, whether they're black themselves or actually all of these things, the road wheels are black. Everything else ends up being gunmetal. So we'll end up putting some gunmetal on them. I hope I can make it to the numerals. I don't know. We're not going to rush it. We'll get done when it gets done. At least I'm not falling asleep. What's a video game that's out that, or has been out, can be an old video game that is really popular, but yet you never seem to be like getting it? I mean, I'm not saying Assassin's Creed. There's got to be something that you just like more than just like, what is the deal with this thing? What do people see in this thing? And I thought about that, but I can't think of any right now. Final Fantasy, never played any of the Final Fantasy games. I feel like they're extremely linear. I really dislike linear games. I really don't like linear games. Where you have to do this next, and you have to do this one, and then you got to do this. And I'm like, dude, I just want to check what's up on that hill, you know? I don't want to check it out now. And if I die, well, so be it. I'll reload, but I want to see what's on that hill right now. Never played any of the Final Fantasy games, ever. Just seems they'd be super, super linear. Oh, I know what game I used to hate. Quake. I never liked Quake. I didn't like how it looked. The storyline was stupid. It came out after. Did it come after Doom? Yeah, Wolfenstein was first. We all played that. then Doom, then Quake. Never liked Quake. Never. And there was a ton of other spin-offs at that time of those games like that. There was a Magic User one that was called, I want to say Hexen or something like that. And then there was another one I think that was called Blood. And they all had kind of a unique thing that had them that was in there. They had a unique concept of them. Hexen, you could use magic. There was Blood. You actually could see your reflection of it. Blood was kind of like almost like a Van Helsing type of thing, but it was a shooter. And then Duke Nukem 3D. That one you could actually aim up. You actually had to like aim up at things. It wasn't just like, oh, there's a guy up there and I'll aim underneath him and hopefully he'll pick the shoot at him. You had to go out and actually aim for those particular people. And then there was some game, I don't remember what it was called, but it was like you played a superhero and it had vehicles. It was the first game I saw that actually had vehicles. You got to like crawl in a tank, but you had like superpower. I mean, you had guns and stuff too, but you had like superpowers and stuff like that. I remember this one level, like this castle that was just like covered with these guys that were like part of some cult, and you had to take them out and stuff like that. And you had to like regenerate your powers and shit like that. I don't remember what the hell that one was called. Far Cry. I've not played Far Cry. I have not played Far Cry. The Cuba one looks like it would be cool, or the supposed Cuba one. I like the Grand Theft Auto games. I do, even though the aiming is atrocious. You get used to them. And I'd like the Red Dead Redemption games, even though I'm not a Western guy. I like those, like, I wonder what's over here kind of things. I haven't played the Far Cry, probably because they came out too late. I'm kind of done playing those shooters. I mean, I've saved the world countless times from Nazis and demons. Like they keep summoning them back. You're not my responsibility anymore. But I do like open world type stuff. Yeah, I wonder what's over here. Well, go check it out. It may kill you, you know. Man, the Red Dead Redemption, the one where was that? Was it? What's it called? Undead Nightmare or whatever. That one was really creepy at times. Really, really creepy. Especially you had one mission where you had to like lasso the four horses of the apocalypse, and that was really, really creepy. But anyways, I was saying that I saw somebody playing that zombie come, was it Left 4 Dead? Just you didn't have a moment to like rest or do anything. And then I'm like, what's that other game? Dying Light? You're like constantly harassed, you know, all the time. You know what game I've never encountered somebody that's also played it? And I think it's fairly popular, and it's been several times. I've never encountered somebody that says, oh, I played that game too, and I really like it. Is a game that they made only, actually, they have it for the computer as well, but it's a Microsoft only game called State of Decay. And they have a first one and a second one. And it is one of my favorite games of all time because you don't feel like you're rushed in it. You know, and you have some community management. It's a zombie game. And you have some community management. You've got vehicles and you got to get supplies and stuff. But none of it is like super, super like heavy. Like, okay, like every single second counts. I mean, you sometimes can take your time, you know, but for those of us that work for a living, we don't need to be stressed out by a freaking game when we get home. It's okay to have the sense of urgency, but I've never encountered someone in real life that has said, "Oh, I like that game too." I remember when they were announcing it, I'm like, "Oh, this is going to be really cool," and I've been a devoted fan of that game ever since. And I wish there was more games like that because it is kind of a treasure hunt. Like you go in and you have like nothing. You'll have like a stick, and your people get tired and they have to sleep. But that's where you're playing one character at a time, and you got to arm them and stuff, and you got no weapons, and maybe you'll find a pistol, but the ammo for something different. So you go and bring it back to your base, and hopefully you'll find a pistol that goes with something else, and you can make ammo for it and stuff. But none of it is like super excruciatingly complicated. It's not overly heavy on the complications. I really, really like that game. And your guys improve fighting skills as you fight with them. And okay, we got tools on here as well. Yeah. Okay, and we did the tools here. We did not. This is the tank that's left to do that we started on, and I've got to take a potty break. I will be right back in a moment. Around here, so I'm going to make my own games, Bunkers and Bad Eyes, using the White Wolf Storyteller engine. White Wolf. I remember when they came out. I think that's the people that made all those vampire games, right? Bunkers and Badasses. what do we have here? This one has the shovel sticking out. So we'll paint the shovel head. Then all the cable. And this one has the pickaxe over here. Vampire the Masquerade. Yeah. Yeah, I remember when that came out. Not that I played it, but it seemed to be a pretty popular game. That came out right after Lost Boys, the movie, I think. Right? Vampire Masquerade, like 91, 92, something like that. I'm surprised I haven't gone and seen. What's the vampire movies? What's it called? I can't remember what the hell they're called. I'm surprised I haven't seen them with my version of that girl that you like. You like that girl from the Vikings, and the equivalent character for me would be the girl that's in the vampire things. I can't even remember what the hell they're called. I've seen one of them, and I was like, Lost Boys was mid 80s. No, it was not. It was 87, 88, or 89. One of those two. I don't think it was 87. I think it was earlier than that. Vampire the Masquerade came out in 91. Yeah, Vampire the Masquerade came out about the time when that those damn magic cards came out. And all of those kids would drive us crazy buying those damn things. '87, really? Well, I saw it once and I wasn't impressed. Probably in '87. And paint the end of this thing here. All right, then we're going to go do the tracks. Paint some tracks. Oh no. We don't need none of that. You know, one thing I haven't heard nobody that I know watches is that new. What color I use for tracks? I start with German camouflage black brown. It used to be called SS Camel Brown. SS Camel Black is what it used to be called, which is probably one of the colors of the P dot, and it works really well for me for the darkest these things ever get. You know, kind of like an old rust type of thing, and I've been really happy with it. And not forgot what I was talking about. Oh man, it was not important. It's not important. It'll come back to me when we're no longer on the air. Be like, oh man, that's what I was talking about. I don't know what the hell I was saying. It's not important though. It wasn't the fate of humanity did not rest in people understanding it. And I don't know if I'm going to use this color for any vehicles that would happen to be in the desert, but I have a feeling that's a ways off where I got to worry about that problem. That's just the edge on that one. Come back and do the back here. All right, that side's done. Do we have a spare track thing on the front here? We do. And of course, they didn't give you a little bracket to hold in place. So this is magically held in place by something. I'm certainly not going to make it because it's not IPMS competition of scratch building shit. Okay, and then we go to the tracks on this side. But I hope somebody comes and brings some playing mats for the show. Because I wouldn't mind looking some of them in the flesh, and maybe I'll pick one of them up. But I'm definitely interested in 4x6 or bigger. I saw that actually Mitch actually owns a copy of Command Decision 2nd Edition, which is the last one I played. And I still have it in the closet, but he's been playing Rapid Fire. I don't know if that would... A very limited experience playing Rapid Fire. I don't remember how the armor rules worked at all, but I know that the scale is the same as Command Decision, 1 to 5. And then we'll do the front of these tracks, and then this guy will be done. Just punched the SS units for Hitler's Last Gamble. Never played. What is Hitler's Last Gamble? Bulge or Hungary? Or maybe something even earlier than that. Okay. Looks a lot better with the tracks painted. And they're not weathered yet. Ardennes offensive, okay. SS units, are they black? Black with white writing? Speaking of SS units, the game I only played a handful of times and just didn't seem like I was able to get the hang of it was the one that has that SS guy on the front. Up front. And I think they re-released it or something like that, or they got it on War Games Vault or something like that, but I could never wrap my head around it. Made by 3M Games, 1989. They are black with white. Okay. Yeah, the units that advanced the farthest weren't SS units. Well, what SS units were there that were divisions? The 1st, the 12th, and that's it, right? 2nd wasn't there. 3rd spent the entire time on the Eastern Front. And so did 5th. What's 4th? What's the 4th SS Panzer? Is there a 4th SS Panzer Division? I can't remember if there is, what it would be. Totenkopf is 3rd. Viking is 5th. Viking and Totenkopf were on the Eastern Front the entire time. I don't know that there's a 4th. I only know that stuff from potentially modeling stuff in 1/35th scale, but I never made an SS anything. I look forward to trying some of their camouflage stuff, but I don't plan on making SS tanks specific. Yeah, I don't think there's a fourth SS Panzer Division. What I don't like is I don't like those independent Tiger tank battalions. I just think they're annoying. I can't keep them straight. It does look difficult to paint, but I'm gonna take a physical. I would like to take a physical challenge to do that. I've never attempted it. Difficult to paint and get it to look right. Okay, and this one has the spare track here because I saw it in a picture and decided to put it there. Okay, and then we'll move over to this side. Yeah, I've never built an SS anything. Not really a fan of those assholes. But they did have some cool camouflage. I do have some early SS troops. They might even be for like in France, because they're equipped with MP-28s as a submachine gun and the Czech light machine gun from Combat Miniatures. Got the full SS set from them. Never painted any of them. And I've got a few from Battlefield to do. But the combat guys I have are definitely either France or early Barbarossa. Back when they were motorized, they weren't Panzer anything. They were motorized divisions at best. And you guys ever played the card game up front? I couldn't figure it out, but you know, I was a lot younger and I didn't own the game, so I was actually okay with the relative distances. I just didn't like that how you stacked your squad, they took damage from left to right. So the further they were in one direction, the more insulated they were from getting damage taken. And I'm sure there had to be a flip side of the coin that it would be bad if you had insulated guys, but I only played it 5 or 6 times and got my ass beat every time. The squad leader card game, as they used to call it. One left. So it's actually okay if I don't make it to the decal portion, because I need to decide whether or not I'm going to make them red with white outline numbers or outlined white numbers. I'm probably going to do the ones that are red because I already got a Panzer III that has outlined and white. Not necessarily this one, but you can't even tell on here, but they are hollow. Yellow would be cool if I had some yellow ones. I like me some yellow numbers. What's inside a German tank's color? Isn't it like a really light buff? I don't think it's white. The Russians are white. Like a deck tan or something like that. Well, I'm not going to hand paint them. I'm going to use decals. I got lots of decals now. Just have no yellow decals. Cream white? Yeah, that's what I thought. Really light colored for help visibility. Not white, because that would be the Russians. The Russians inside are completely white. I want to say the British are too. I don't know what I was thinking. Speaking of the interior colors of things, one of the most horrible inside colors, in my opinion, is like U.S. Navy planes. They were like this pea green color, almost like a lime green, just really god awful. But that's just aesthetics, you know? I'm actually tempted to do a vehicle in the for the Africa Corps because I want to try it out. You know, painting it gray and then dry brushing all the dirt and stuff. And I think it'll look okay. In other words, you know, you paint it all the way up to here, and then you just dry brush the shit out of it. But I got no Africa Corps infantry. I got no desert rats. Other than, I got some 172nd scale guys that are not all there, but I think AB makes them in 20 mil. I think they do. Honestly, I don't see how people think Rommel's the best general of World War II. I agree. Um, you know, he wasn't bad, but he took way too many risks. And hey, he was kind of like Alexander the Great. He'd go and send himself in, and then the battle would fall apart somewhere else. Except it didn't fall apart. It didn't fall apart for Alexander the Great. That's the difference. Many more differences than that, but Alexander not lost a battle. Well, if he lost a battle, nobody wrote about it. He filled in some sieges in India and shit like that, but yeah, I'm reading that. I'm going through that Mondo video that Tick put together on Operation Crusader, where he basically had the battle won, and then he went and did this dash to the wire for like I think a couple days, and basically depleted all of his forces, and the British were able to salvage it, and he ended up having to pack up camp and leave. Although I'm not up to that point yet, but yeah, and him and his second in command really were at odds in that battle completely. They were like, he'd tell him to do one thing and he'd go do something else, and neither one of them was made necessarily good decisions all the time. But there was a command crisis in the British Army at that time as well, so that was just par for the course, I guess. But so much of those battles was failed reconnaissance. Like people couldn't see each other, the dust and stuff, you know. All the generals though that people think really highly of though, I think they all have one thing in common, and that is they they appeal to the guys in the foxholes. So in other words, Rommel, he'd go up to the front lines and he'd serve, and he'd risk his neck too. Like all the generals that people think highly of or that have a good reputation all have that characteristic. Patton, you know, the generals that people gravitate towards are those that have that quality. They're not like, well, they'll sit back, they're like some nerd burglar genius there, so I had to get the nerd burglar thing in. Back in the Wolf Slayer, trying to figure everything out. No, they're out on the streets, and they're talking to their own men. The people directly under them may not like them and think they're a bunch of buttholes, but the men on the scene actually think highly of them. And that makes sense. It makes sense that they would have a high opinion of them. We got some wooden things to put on here. Actually, I'm probably going to paint those wooden things after I do. Now, let's go ahead and do them now. Let's go ahead and do them now. We can always repaint them if we need to. Alexander, he hung out with his guys. Hannibal, he hung out with his guys. Unrelated question. Were the Nazis for the most part Christians? And if so, what denomination? Well, define Nazi. I mean, some people just, you have people like Rommel, and then you've got people like, Himmler. I think there's a big difference between the two. If you're talking about people that were in the German army or, that were pro-Hitler, I would imagine most of them were, they were either agnostic or they had to be Christian. I mean, that's pretty much the only thing that's left. There aren't too many Hindu Nazis running around. People in the German army would have been, I would imagine, pretty split between Lutherans and Catholics, I would think. Pretty evenly split. The book I'm reading on the Eastern Front talks about a lot of guys that wrote about Christmas celebrations. It was like a big deal for them, But I would think that the higher up you went on the chain of command of the Third Reich, the harder it would be to be a Christian. I don't necessarily mean, whether they were a misguided one or whatever. I'm just saying that, if that's what they identified themselves as being, I think the grunts are just grunts, man. Some of them just didn't want to be there. You got drafted tough. You got to be there. You got to go to the Eastern Front, And I've actually come across a lot of memoirs and the excerpts in these books that I've read that aren't necessarily on a personal level, but it does talk about the individual attitudes of individual men, and it's a mixed bag. A lot of them believe the National Socialist BS about the war of extermination, and the folks on Eastern Front, the Russians basically just being animals, and it'd be okay to take them out. And then some of them that didn't fall for that. They didn't want to shoot people if they didn't have to. So it just depends on the person, the situation that they get put in, and sometimes they got to do stuff they don't want to do, so they don't get their own punishment by their own superior officers. So, gonna take a sidestep for the computer. Shut counters all over. Super pissed. Need to find them. Yep. Fumbling is never a good thing. But the northern part of Germany is predominantly Lutheran. Which isn't that far from Catholicism. It's basically popeless Catholics. It's Catholics with no pope. Everything else is pretty much the same. They got saints and take communion and all this stuff. It's not very different. the southern part of Germany is predominantly, including Austria, is Catholic. I'm a damn fool. I mixed the wrong color. It's supposed to be black. God bless it. All right. No big deal. Just like there's not much difference between Catholics and Church of England. There really isn't. I mean, you don't have a pope, okay, so you got somebody else. Everything else is pretty much the same. By today's standards, anyways. All right, we got some wooden things to paint here. Oh, why am I doing that? Why am I doing that? Why are you doing that? But the Christmas celebrations apparently were a big deal for most of the people in the Wehrmacht. And they may have been a big deal for the people in the Russians that happened to be Orthodox, but they weren't allowed to. It was definitely frowned upon to do that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that there was people that didn't keep the faith in the Russian army, but it was definitely in the Soviet army, but it was definitely frowned upon. But yeah, Christmas is a big deal apparently for the Wehrmacht. Remember the tradition of the Christmas tree comes from pagan stuff from the Germans, and they worked that into the all this Christmas time stuff that people do. So that's where it comes from. It's actually a pagan custom from places where they have pines. Germania. And Santa Claus and all that is, that's traditional German stuff. So it's a big deal. At least that's what it claimed. And some people might have done it for religious reasons. Some people might have just done it for customs. But they definitely wanted to celebrate that on the Eastern Front. They took like a break from that if they could, but sometimes that's and the Russians would like plan to attack. They knew when either side's days of that they were interested in celebrating, they would plan attacks and stuff like that to disrupt them because they figured they'd have their guard down. Do we have a white that's alive? I bet we don't. I think dry is so easy. Okay, Oliver. See you soon. I have lots of little details on this. Little check tank. I wouldn't mind having any Panzer 35s as well, but in Barbarossa, I think only the 6th Panzer Division used them. I think only the 6th used Czech 35s. 38s were used by like 4 different divisions. And they still had Panzer 4s for the fire support, but they wouldn't have any Panzer 3s. So if you got these in Barbarossa, you wouldn't get Panzer 3s. You know, on book strength anyways, you know, when you have to try to throw things together ad hoc and they come across some other units or whatever, they might incorporate them, but at least on paper, they didn't operate together. And I forget what units it is, like the 7th used these, which is Rommel's old division from France. It's like the 7th, 12th, 18th, and 20th, or something like that. Used these Czech 38 tanks, which were pretty reliable. They had really good running gear. You know, their gun was kind of underpowered. Good enough to take out BTs and T-26s, but give the T-28 some problems. But other than that, anything bigger than that, you know, a T-34 would just laugh at you, you know. But they were fairly robust little guys. And for some reason, I did not paint. That's because I'm doing 3 tanks at once. Normally not the way I operate. Okay, that's part of that. Okay, now and do some of the highlighty stuff. Yeah, that one has all the tools. A piece of shell replaced the dreaded part cannon for model building. Stuck counters this time. I don't know what the hell you were doing, but sounds like you failed a dexterity check. Whoopsie. Looks like I painted these barrels black. But I didn't use enough on there. Just looks more like a wash. Fix it up now instead of later. Okay. These little things here, these are little blocks of wood that go into the jack, even though there's no jack visible on these tanks. I'm actually going to leave and paint that later, as I don't want it to be dusty looking. All right, we got the mufflers to do. And the problem with some of these lighter tanks is they have these really small areas that you've got to put like a German cross on, and it's difficult to get that to work sometimes. Difficult to work that in. We're gonna mix this rusty orange with black. That's gonna be my base color for this muffler. Ah, shut your muffler. All right, let's go back to the first one. See if it's dry enough. Usually is. Even though I paint relatively wet. Kind of doing a wet dry brush, so to speak. Painting the 38Ts. How's PSC infantry? I don't know. I have no idea. I have no plans to buy any unless they come like as a gun crew or something like that. I have tons of infantry already in white metal from Battlefield, Combat Miniatures, and mainly those two. I've got some FAA infantry that I don't have any plans on using them. They're just... I painted some of them and I just really dislike FAA. So most of my infantry is Battlefield and Combat. Combat Miniatures is the old Hotspur range. And I don't like plastic infantry. Certainly, they would, you know, they would definitely be the oddball on the scene because they weigh so much less than anything else I have. Let's put our glasses on for this and get farther away. And this is all going to get some dust work to it, so it will end up softening the look of it anyways, but I want this to look irregular. Just kind of how I did on the other mufflers as well. You know, they were painted the color of the tank, but that heats up so much that the paint is going to flake off. You know, when the paint flakes off, it has no protection from the elements and it rusts. Oxidation in a nutshell. It happened to everybody's tanks. The only difference is the German tanks, many of them have very prominent mufflers where you're not going to be able to hide that. What do we got left other than weathering? I think that's it. We got these little boxes that we have to paint, but we're going to paint them afterwards. That we've dry brushed these. So this is where we're going to stop for the night. It's just after 10 o'clock and I got to work tomorrow, but we got quite a bit done. And we'll paint the interior of this one. There's a tank commander that goes in there, just to add some interest. And these should look really good. I think these models are superb. You know, my only gripe is there's not more pieces with them to customize them. I would have liked like some extra spare road wheels of these where I could put a couple of them like on it, you know, one on one side over here, one of them on the other tank, you know, maybe run a cable through them or something like that to hold them in place. But they make a spare set for them, but they want like $35 for spare parts. Like that just doesn't make sense to me. So we're gonna punt on that. But anyway, thanks for stopping by, folks, and we will take a look and see what numerals we're going to use. but all three of them are going to have the same type of numbers, and it'll either be this type here, more than likely it'll be those, or it will be the white ones that are hollow, which are here. You can't even see them. So it'll be the white ones that are hollow, or more than likely the red ones. So how many tanks come in these boxes? Three, but you could make them all three of these. You can make them all three Martyr 3s, or you can make them all three Martyr 3 H's, or Martyr 3s, or any combination. You could do one each. So, yeah, these are actually the 1/87th scale. The 1/72nd scale are a little bit bigger. And they're in here as well. They should be in here as well. Oh. Yeah, these are too big. Yeah, they're not going to fit in the turret, so it's going to be this size or this size. They're the same ones. Yep. And the last number on them is not going to be higher than 5. None of these 769 is the tank number kind of BS, but hopefully I got some crosses that are small enough to fit on there. If not, we'll just forego them. I'm not going to hand paint the crosses because that looks too sloppy. But anyhow, we'll be back and have these numbered up. So anyhow, we will see you guys. How much does a box run? About $30. They're about $10 a piece, but you get like all kinds of extra stuff with them. And here's the sprues I didn't use. It's the same bottom hole, but here's the Martyr that has this is the H that has the compartment in the middle, and it's kind of the better looking one. Then here's the other one, this is the Martyr 3 that has the short thing, but actually this is the one that comes with the Russian. This one goes with this one here, which is these side pieces here. Look how nice the top of the hull is of it. You can even see the shells here that you can just pull out almost. Really nice. But it's got little chairs and stuff in there, so we're going to use these. I've got one of this tank, one of these somewhere. It's in storage. It's actually not somewhere. I know exactly where it is. I just don't want to dig through the boxes. But they give you these extra parts, so if you buy another pack of them and use them for Martyrs, then you've got extra Czech 38 turrets. But anyhow, this is what we'll pick up next time. And thanks for stopping by, folks. Have a good night. See you later.